Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from deltacx.com. We are a full service CX and UX consultancy. Check us out at deltacx.com. We can probably do something for you. And this is Tuesday's Office Hours Ask Me Anything. I typically do this on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Italy time. It is 10 a.m. Italy time. We've had to schedule a few things this week in different slots because I'm taking an evening course. So this will be this week's Office Hours, which means I am here live for an hour and I am happy to take any questions that come in. Meanwhile, I am trying to turn off the heat in the room, and that's not working. Be right back. Ask your questions. All right. Good morning to those watching on YouTube and LinkedIn and possibly Twitter. Please remember you can subscribe here on YouTube and ring that bell. I've noticed YouTube has changed all of my bells and now I don't get notifications. So if you want to get notifications, check your bell. And anything you might want to know about the stream, answered here, deltacx.com/links. Like, when are we streaming? And how do I sign up for your UXer courses? And what else do I tend to hear? Things like that. Just go there. It's all there. I am just waking up, so excuse me that I'm a little bit blurry-eyed. Had a bad night, and it is 10 a.m. here. Good morning, Glenn. We did get one question ahead of time, so I am going to start with that question, but then I've got no other questions. So if you would like to ask a question, you will be second. You will be served quickly today. Okay, Glenn's got a question. We're going to add that to the list, and that'll be question number 2. Please hold. Okay, so let's start with question 1, which came in a week or two ago, anonymously, and it looks like this. Hi, Debbie. I've come across at least 4 articles this week about product thinking. What is this term, product thinking? Aren't we doing it already with design thinking? One article I read said the difference between product thinking and design thinking is about features, where product thinking is more holistic. And they linked to a UX magazine article, uxmag.com. So I thought the best way to address this is to go out to the interwebs and see what happens when you put product thinking into Google. Let's press a few buttons here on the show and go there. So this should be, here we go. So when you put product thinking into Google, it is just a hodgepodge mix of stuff. And that to me says that this term is kind of in the bucket with design thinking, as people are going to have their own definitions of it. They might not agree on these definitions, and it might be everybody's thinking something different. So here it's product thinking is problem finding. And we've got to see the product first. Okay. I also find, by the way, with product thinking and design thinking and all the things that start with thinking, you rarely get a really clear, concrete process. When we talk about user-centered design, we've got a really clear, concrete process of what we're going to do in what order to accomplish these things. But I find that with many of these, because they're looking to be buzzwords rather than processes, you typically end up with fluffy stuff like think more holistically about the product. Okay, how do I do that? That's where we're looking for articles to be meaningful, actionable, and helpful. Did this article actually tell me what to do, or does it just sound like this general fuzzy thing? Thinking in product means understanding the problem thoroughly, which again sounds strange because according to design thinking, that's part of design thinking. According to design sprints, that's part of design sprints. According to user-centered design and human-centered design, we're already doing that. So what is this term and is it different? This one says product thinking is the skill of knowing what makes a product useful and loved by people, which again sounds like UX. I mean, that's what we do. We are trying to make sure that things are useful and contextual and make sense for people's tasks. Good morning, Vazia. I hope you got my email. Product thinking is a way of examining every design angle to determine what the user wants and how to solve the problem. Again, we could replace the term product thinking here with design thinking, equally as meaningless, and I think we could even replace it here with user-centered design or human-centered design. I'm not seeing anything here that says, hey, wait a minute, this is user-centered design, this is product thinking, and here's how you can tell when you're doing one or the other. Product thinking means to explore different ways in which different functionalities can be combined to solve, you know what's coming next. I want the definition of product thinking to encompass more than being glue that keeps everything together. Not too sure what's going there. A mindset that kills product thinking. Product thinking moves your focus to outcomes and business impact. And again, I don't understand why people think that UX or user-centered design or human-centered design doesn't care about outcomes. Who are these people and why are you hiring them if they don't care about outcomes, customer impacts, and business impacts? I don't get this. So to me, this is like kind of a false setup. You know, it's I'm trying to think of another example of a false setup, but we see these so much in memes. It's like, well, you know, product thinking is really this. So if you're not doing this, you're not doing product thinking. Well, what does that mean? And at this point, what thinking am I not doing? And what does it look like if I'm doing product thinking versus design thinking? Product thinking gives designers the advantage of building the right features for the right people. Were we not doing that? So again, I'm just not getting it. I don't think any of these things are processes. They seem to be mindsets. And if you're watching my Think Out Loud series, I don't have a mindset. My mindset is understand the problem and solve the problem. So, you know, I don't get it. So design thinking, product thinking, radical product thinking. Here, this says innovation, user focus. Design thinking is part of problem thinking, according to this infographic. Whatever. And here's something else. Problem statement, strategy, vision. I mean, look, it's not that any of these are bad ideas. It's just that clearly product thinking hasn't decided what it wants to be when it grows up, but design thinking suffers from the same thing. Glenn says buzzword fluff, and I tend to agree. So hopefully that clears that up for everybody. Let's switch back to the giant picture of me, even though I look so sleepy today. I'm still waking up. Yeah, so I would have to say, you know, I feel quite negatively about design thinking because it just seems to be buzzword fluff. And what does it really mean? And if someone says they do design thinking, that doesn't mean that they've done critical thinking. It doesn't mean that they found the right problems or found the right root causes or solved it well. So none of these thinkings keep you from, except for critical thinking, only critical thinking has any shot of helping you get to the right solutions and outcomes. The rest of them seem a bit fluffy and readily packaged for cottage industries like books and trainings, and everyone can do product thinking and everyone can do design thinking. I assume in general that outside of critical thinking, most of these thinkings are just helping everybody feel like they can design products. Matt, I see your question and you're going to be after the next question. So thank you for your patience. Let's put Glenn's question up on the big board. Pressing the button. Here we go. Send. All right. So Glenn asks, who are some of my favorite UX influencers? And, you know, my first question, and Glenn's here live. So Glenn, I would have to ask, who are UX influencers? Can you give me some examples of people who you feel are UX influencers? And I will give you the unfortunate, honest truth of what I think about these people. Obviously, to me, the ultimate UX influencer is Don Norman. I agree with Don Norman probably 90 or so % of the time. There are some things where I don't agree with him. Ooh, I have messy hair. There are some things where I don't agree with him. I feel like he's not as tapped into what's going on out there as he used to be, and he's missing some of the key problems that are happening in our industry, and so therefore he's not necessarily addressing their solutions in the way that I would prefer. But again, that's just my angle on that. And, Don Norman gets to be Don Norman. And obviously I enjoy pretty much everything Larry Marine says. There are a few things he and I disagree on as well. But, and I don't think of him as an influencer, but I think he should be an influencer because he's very influential. His techniques are time-tested and so solid that we really should be paying more attention to what Larry Marine says. But as for influencers, Glenn, I'm waiting for you to reply with who you think are influencers, because when I think about who I follow on LinkedIn and who I'm interested in, it's mostly those people. Glenn, do you have a suggestion of who you thought I might be influenced by? I would genuinely, honestly like to see that. Sorry, I meant to leave that up until I'm done answering so people watching later know when I've moved to the next question. Influencers. I also like Abby Covert. She's been on the show. She's a super person and super sharp and lots of great ideas. Hard to disagree with her. Is she an influencer? She should probably be more of an influencer. Yeah, I think that a lot of the people who I admire most are doing rather than influencing. As far as I can tell, Abby's not out there trying to have the coolest Instagram in town, and she might. But to me, she's focusing more on education and advocacy and not being an influencer. Glenn, I'm still waiting. Where are did I stop streaming? Am I not live anymore? Glenn, who are these influencers you thought I might be interested in? I am still waiting for some names to pop up. So since we're not seeing that, let's go to the next question. And Glenn, if you add to it, we'll come back to it. And remember, this is Office Hours. Ask me anything. You are welcome to ask me anything live in the chat. If you don't want your name on it, you can ask anonymously at deltacx.link/ask, and I will check there from time to time. Please empathize with the like button and subscribe here on YouTube. And of course, anything you're going to ask me about this stream is probably answered here at deltacx.com/links. Glenn says, maybe gatekeepers is a better term. Who are my favorite gatekeepers? None of them? Nope. I guess he didn't want to put up any names. So I'm going to move on, but I love the work of Darren and Dr. Nick. I do too. I guess it's hard for me to think of them as influencers, but I guess they are. I think they do have a lot of followers or people who are interested in them. Certainly I'm interested in them. They're on the show once a month. So yeah, yes to those people. So I can't think of anybody else, but let me know who you're thinking, or let me know who you're influenced by, because that's a good question back at you. Let's put up Matt, who appears to not have a face. I'm so sorry, Matt. I hope it doesn't hurt. Matt says, what are the possible starting journeys for aspiring UX researcher who doesn't have a formal university education? Basic understanding of UX, but doesn't have experience. Boot camps, find the mentor. Matt, is that you answering your own question? I'm trying to figure out what's happening here. And also, let me copy and paste your full question in, since that cut it off. So I think that the first thing that I want people to know about getting a UX job, and we've done some shows about it here where we've had some panels on talking about what real day-to-day work is like. And what I want people to know is that UX work is generally ugly. UX work is generally full of conflict, disagreement. Most people at the companies where we work don't understand what we do. They don't appreciate what we do. They battle us on what we do. They think they can do it as well as we do it. It is not I don't recommend it for everybody. Let's put it that way. A lot of people say, oh yeah, and I say you have to have resilience to work in UX. You wouldn't need resilience if it were a really great job full of peace and harmony and cuddles, platonic, appropriate cuddles. So I think it's at first important for me to make sure that if people think that any aspect of CX or UX work is endless sunshine and sticky notes and foosball, please know that it is full of conflict and disappointment, and that's why you need resilience. You wouldn't need resilience for a job that didn't have conflict and disagreement and ugly stuff. So number one, you have to make sure that you're comfortable going into that. You have to make sure that UX is running through your heart and blood so much that you don't mind going into a job that's probably going to have conflict fairly often and be fairly thankless. Now, there are some jobs that aren't like that, but unfortunately most are. So next, what should you do? So certainly a basic understanding of UX is important, but where you get that basic understanding matters. I'm finding that more and more courses think a basic understanding of UX is design thinking. Hey, just have empathy and make things that people are going to like. So you have to be really careful when you are selecting online programs or boot camps or whatever it is. You must think critically about this stuff. What is this really teaching me? And to me, good courses should be talking about deductive reasoning and logic, critical thinking, problem finding, root causes, really digging into problems, psychology, human behavior. Those would be good courses around the foundations of UX or UX basic principles. If you're hearing more fluffy stuff like just have empathy or create empathy or just have design thinking or shift your mindset, you probably haven't learned the foundations of UX. You've learned the foundations of some fluffy cottage industry, hoping you'll pay for training and certificates. So be careful there. UX is nearly 100% critical thinking. We've got to keep asking questions, and we've got to look past people's ideas and assumptions about things. We can't just accept those at face value and go, yeah, okay, that's probably okay. No. So once you've got that foundational understanding, which could come from books, it could come from good online courses, which I haven't seen yet, but I have to assume they're out there somewhere, or other sources. Boot camps are probably not the best source of this information. They tend to teach very surface, fluffy stuff. Next, I think the right way to go, as I'm working on a new program for next year on how I think people should learn UX. That is still in progress, but I'm quoting a little bit from it now, even though it's a work in progress. To me, the next thing that I'm going to be recommending is first of all, you have to have a mentor or coach, and not a fluffy mentor or coach, not a cheerleader who just says, yay, Matt, you're so good, you're going to be fine, you'll get that job. We want to make sure that someone is giving you true coaching and tough love. You don't want to hear, yay, your piano playing is great, if it's not. You need to hear the things. So you want a mentor or coach who has done specialized UX work for at least 5 years. You don't want someone who got a job recently, their first job meaning, and you don't want someone who's just out of a boot camp or university. You want someone who's done this before. Then I recommend that either that mentor or coach, or you take a course where someone is doing what I call think out loud work. And that would mean the problem in UX education now is, hey, Matt, we want to learn more about how users do a thing because we want to know if we should build new features about it. Hey, you want to know a thing? We need the research outputs. Make a plan. Do your research. And I see so rarely, it's rare, it's out there, but it's rare that anybody actually shows you how it's done. Hey, before you guess at a research plan, let me show you how I make research plans. Hey, before you guess at doing research, let me show you how I actually conduct these sessions. I see very, very few people out there teaching UX by showing you how they as experts approach the work. So we have a new series here on this channel called UX Think Out Loud. It's got its own playlist. And for the most part, the upcoming schedule the next month or two is a little bumpy, but for the most part, I'm going to be doing it every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Italy time. And that's where I am doing real or realistic work while thinking out loud and taking questions so that you can see how I go from inputs to outputs. Because otherwise, I don't see who's teaching that. And so to me, that's going to be step 2 of a UX education. Learn by watching. First, it's going to be learn by knowledge. Let's learn these principles. Let's learn knowledge. Let's learn concepts. Let's learn general approaches. Now let's watch how someone applies them. Let's see someone applying them and thinking out loud and explaining to you how they do it and where they made different decisions and how they approached things. Okay, now you've got a sense of how an expert goes from A to Q. Then you try it. I don't think people should try it until they've seen it done a number of times. Otherwise, if you just read some books or watch some videos or take a boot camp and then you try to do some UX stuff, you're just guessing. And especially in a bootcamp environment, which I recommend against, in many cases, they're not looking at your work until the end of the project, which means if you messed something up early in the project and set your research or work up for failure, nobody caught it. And in many cases, a lot of these people at bootcamps are completely unqualified. I look at them on LinkedIn and I go, I wouldn't even interview this person for a UX job. How are they teaching UX? So I'm looking for people who can really do the work. Yeah, thanks, Matt. And you should too. That should be your standard. We look for a piano teacher who's an amazing pianist. We look for a yoga instructor who's super with yoga. You know, we have these standards, and for some reason with UX, we forgot about this. We thought that if we found anybody who claimed they were a designer or creative director or UI whatever, we just turned off our critical thinking and we didn't look into who these people are and what they can even do. So that would be step 2. Step 3 is now you try it. And that could be a sample fake passion project, which you do realistically, or it could be a real project. But either way, I'm suggesting heavy oversight from that mentor or coach. And that does mean that I expect this coaching to be paid. I don't, mentoring here and there is great. Hey, I have a question about my resume. Let's meet for a half hour. Someone might give you that half hour for free, or they could charge you. I believe strongly that if you really start getting into UX and you want that coaching, it is going to cost money. And that's tough because then people go, ooh, gatekeeping, ooh, it costs money, ooh, elitism. And I go, everything costs money. Everything costs money. Going to any school costs money. Learning piano costs money. Everything costs money. Anything anybody wants to do costs money. The only thing I can do to try to help that is give people very reduced rates. So I'm charging $100 American per hour for my coaching. You can sign up for a half hour for $50. Most of the coaching I'm seeing is $200 American and up. The other day I saw $250. I've seen $150. And those people might be worth it. I'm not saying don't give your money to those people. Yes, give your money to those people. But I've decided that the best I can do is give my time at a discounted rate to try to make it available to more people, knowing that it's still not going to be affordable to some people. And there's only so much I can do about it. There's only so much of my time I can give away for free. So I do expect that as people get deeper into UX, especially if they've bypassed university education or expensive boot camps, that they are going to take the money they might have spent on that and spend it on a really good coach. Where now when you're doing your work, that person is checking in on you once a week or more than once a week to look at your work and to check it and to say, this research plan doesn't really work. Your goals don't really make sense, or your goals are too business oriented. Where's your goals about the user? And that way you go, oh, let me fix that. Let me try again. And it goes in cycles. And in my coaching programs, I don't let people progress to the next thing until they're doing the first thing well, and they know why they're doing it well, and they know why their first thing wasn't great. So I do have some coaching options. You can go to deltacx.com/coaching. And you'll probably want to look at the private one-on-one coaching. And I've got pay as you go, and I've got packages of hours that have a further discount, I think. I haven't looked at that page in a bit. So that's the super long. And then, of course, after that, I think you need an apprenticeship. I think you need the chance to try your UX chops, again, with extreme oversight, mentoring, coaching, on real work, but in a supportive learning environment. And those almost don't exist. So I'm trying to fix and redefine education, but that's my new 4-step plan. Now, each of those steps might take months. So ultimately, to me, being ready for a UX job is probably a 1 to 2 year process. And that kind of makes sense because when you look at companies that say, we want a year or two of experience, yeah, to me, it's going to take a few months for you to get that knowledge and those foundational principles. Then it's going to take you a while to be part of a community like ours here, where someone is doing think out loud work and you can see how the work is done and be able to ask that person questions as your mentor or coach. Then you're going to need a few months to do a practice project in a realistic way, because you're going to do that project in slow motion because someone is going to keep stopping you and going, I don't know, your first interview was kind of dodgy. Here's what you need to do differently. Try again. Do an interview another person. Let's take a look at it. So that's going to be months of work. It could be 3 to 6 months for something that we might normally do in 1 to 2. And then you're doing an apprenticeship, which I hope would be 3 to 6 months of a real project with that support. So to me, there's probably a 1 to 2 year path into UX jobs when you're doing it right. To just jump out of a boot camp and go, okay, I'm ready, where's my job? That feels right, but I think in many cases, it's not accurate. The boot camps are just not making people job ready. I know this has turned into a half-hour lecture on this stuff, but it's really important to me. I know it's important to you. And I will be releasing a model next year on how I think we do this and what part optionally I or some of my colleagues can play in this. And hopefully we'll find some better courses we can recommend. But right now I'm not in love with a lot of courses out there. So it's mostly back to the books. That is the last question I have for today. I've not seen anything else come in, and this is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. I usually stay up to an hour. If people have follow-up questions, you are welcome to ask them. Follow-up questions are welcome. They are free. There's no charge. I do accept super chats and super stickers if people want to financially donate to the channel, and I hear it helps with the algorithm, but totally optional. I don't do this show for the money. I do it for helping the people. And what else can I tell you about that? So this is Ask Me Anything. If you've got absolutely any questions at all, they're all welcome. If I don't see a question in the next few minutes, I'll probably wind down the stream since there's no reason for me to sit here just staring at you. But if you have a question, I'm happy to take it. I hope everybody has been safe and well and doing the right things. Let's take a moment to thank the people who have been donating financially to the channel. We've got our junior, mid-level, and senior low-ego action heroes here on YouTube. Thank you to the people who are mid-level and higher on the channel, which means they're giving, I think, $5 American dollars a month or higher. And that's Anita, Chang, Darren, whoever is I still don't know, Irina, Jordan, Michelle, Nikki, Ralitza, Ray, Solomon, and Mix Betty. So thanks to those people, and thanks to everybody who supports the channel. You can also support the channel by just telling people about it. Because I'm not doing it for the money. I just want people to know that there is a channel out there that is not all BS, and anybody can become a designer. And let me show you a day in the life of a designer. I eat free food all day and play ping pong. That's not what being a UX designer really looks like. See our panels on the realities of UX work, and see my new UX Think Out Loud series on the YouTube channel. Quick note, we are doing a reaction stream this week, but it is at a weird time because I'm taking these night courses this week. Wow, it looks like Glenn kind of read my mind. Let's put up Glenn's question. Hold on, let me add it to the list. The list becomes the description on YouTube, so that way people can see what we talked about. Hey, hi, Yasir. Thank you for coming. I think we can put Glenn's question up this way because it's short enough. What do you think about a day in the life of a UXer videos that are trending? So far, when I've seen those, I have found them to be, they range from unrealistic to incomplete. I have worked in Silicon Valley in UX. So I have, Freaky Tuesday for sure. I have worked in offices that have had free snacks, free coffee, ping pong tables, napping rooms. I've worked at a company that did free lunch on Fridays where they brought in a catered lunch like you see in some of these videos. But the amazing thing is that to me, it's clickbait. Let's put up that sign. It's clickbait because ultimately these are not really what it's like to work in UX. What you're really seeing is what is it like to work in a Silicon Valley company who's got money to burn and spends that money on picnic tables and free food. And let me tell you, from companies I've worked at, the moment the economy gets bad or the moment the company is having failures where their product is so crappy that they're having trouble attracting or retaining customers, those free snacks go away. I have worked at companies who are like, we're going to stop buying potato chips. And you're like, damn, how bad are we doing? You know? So first of all, free snacks can be fleeting. And I've rarely worked in a job where I had time to go play ping pong. So because I was doing the work of 7 people. So I would say that while these videos may be true, I'm not saying they're lies. It may be true that these people work in cool offices with foosball and ping pong and a PlayStation and a nap room and there's free food. That may be 100% true about where they work. But I've noticed in the handful of videos that I've seen that they rarely show you what doing UX work is actually like. They show you walls of sticky notes and they show you them at their desk and they show you they're in a meeting, but it's all B-roll, as we would say in video. Like, they don't actually show you what those conversations look like. And they don't show you some of the conflicts and disagreements and the product manager going, just design my idea. Why are we trying so hard? We don't need all this research and testing. Just design my idea and engineering will build it and we'll put it out there and then we'll know. And you're like, UX process, anyone? Hello? So I think that these videos are not dishonest in that they're not showing you lies, but I find them to be dishonest in that they're not showing you what a real day in the life is, because that's not what a day in the life was for me. I mean, at many of the jobs that I've worked at, a day in the life working in UX was 6 hours of stupid, insulting meetings that never should have happened, where I fought with people on things that you wouldn't believe people should ever fight about. I remember having a 2-week-long fight with a woman because this was e-commerce, because she wanted shoes. Okay, so imagine someone has gone to your e-commerce website. They're looking for shoes. Who knows what shoe size they are? Hands up, what's your shoe size? I think I'm 41 and a half for those of you in Europe. Let's take a look. So y'all know your shoe size, right? And you can't get too funky with your shoe size. 40.5, UK 7. Men's. Sorry, I wear men's shoes. You know, you can't get too funky with your shoe size, you know? Either you need a 40.5 or I'm not buying shoes today. And 11 and a half. Yeah, that sounds American to me, or maybe British. I'm in Italy, so I'm going with the EU size, but yeah. So Yasir says 45. Yeah, there you go. You're significantly taller than I am. I'm not tall. I'm 163 centimeters. So, without my 80s hair. So, I actually had 2 weeks of fighting with a woman who wanted the shoes on the website to be sorted in order of how many we had in stock in a size. She wanted the shoe sizes to be in order. So think about an e-commerce website and you're looking for shoes, and normally you see the shoes in number order, you know, so let's use UK or American sizes, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever, or half, 9, 9 and a half, 10, 10 and a half, 11, 11 and a half. They're usually in number order because numbers go in order. She wanted those numbers, the shoe sizes themselves, sorted in order of how much stock we had, because she thought if we showed the stuff with the higher stock first, we'd move more stock. So for example, if we had more shoes in a size 11 than in a size 12, then 11 would come and then 12. And if we had fewer shoes in a size 9, 9 would come after 12. And if we had very few shoes in an 11 and a half, that would come next. So this might say 11, 12, 9. I see what I'm saying? That's how she wanted to sort the shoe sizes on the website. And I actually had to fight with her for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And she was, not only was I fighting with her about numbers should go in number, I finally said to her, in my 20-year career, I've never had to fight with someone to get numbers to go in number order. And not only was she still fighting with me in group meetings, but she started pulling me into private meetings saying, we need to align. We need to agree. And I was like, I would love if we agreed, but I'm not going to agree with you that shoe sizes should be sorted by how much inventory we happen to have that minute. Numbers should go in number order. Well, we've got disagreement and we really have to fix that disagreement. And, I'm worried that this looks bad in front of the team. Now I'm in private meetings fighting with this woman about our fighting. I don't see that in day in the life videos. I don't see that at all. But that happens. That happens at many jobs I've been to. How about the job I had many years ago where I was the only remote worker in the department? And what people would do would be they would walk into the department, they would find anybody who worked in UX, and they would ask them to make changes to my designs because I wasn't physically there. I don't see that in a day in the life video. That was bad. And unfortunately, the people were doing it. And then they were like messaging me later, oh, by the way, I made these changes to your designs. And sometimes they were terrible changes. So day in the life videos can go jump in a lake because I think that there is dishonesty in the incomplete story. I think we are accidentally overselling UX, saying, wow, you are going to get these amazing high-paying tech jobs with all this free food and blah, blah, blah. Most of the jobs I worked at in Silicon Valley didn't have free food. Maybe you had coffee and potato chips, but seriously, it wasn't the way these videos are. And what are you selling here? Are you selling the lifestyle? Maybe that's not what jobs look like in Raleigh, North Carolina, but they might still be good jobs. We don't all have to move to Silicon Valley. Glenn says, thanks as always for thorough answers. Yeah, especially when I don't have a whole queue of questions, I don't mind giving longer answers. So, Ahmad's got a question. Let's grab that and put it into the list, and we'll answer it right now since I do not have many questions today. And I'm not doing this evening, 6:30 p.m. Italy time as I normally do, because I am taking an evening course. So I'm not available later to do this twice today, as I sometimes do. Okay, Ahmad says, how evangelizing and answering how do you resolve conflict in an interview relate? Mostly we have to fight for quality and alignment, but how to convey this positively to a new employer? Yeah, I think the word quality is where it's at. And I also like to remind employers, and you're going to know these are buzzwords on my show if you've watched the show before, business intelligence and risk mitigation. I would tell people that a lot of conflicts in UX tend to be because someone wants to go really fast and just release something, and someone from UX is looking to create more quality the first time, so that we're not guessing, and to create better, to have better risk identification and risk mitigation. And that ultimately, that while good UX can take a little more time, it doesn't have to be a lot more time. It doesn't have to be slow, but it's not going to be as fast as guess, build, release, guess again. And ultimately, a lot of that guessing is not only risky for companies, but it's not agile and it's not lean. If we really, really look at what agile and lean are about, they're not about just guess and get something out there. We got that from the Lean Startup book, which was like 2011, and to me is quite outdated at this point, but people are still going by it because they haven't put on their critical thinking hats. So typically in an interview, what I tell people is, look, I'm looking to balance quality with efficiency. It is important to work efficiently, and sometimes that means a little bit faster than we would prefer. But where is the quality? If we don't create quality for our customers, it's not going to be a secret. The public might see our product. Customer support is going to have to deal with these people. We're going to have to stop what we're doing and go and fix it. Releasing anything that isn't 5-star quality is a risk and is often a mistake we have to fix later. That's not agile or lean. That's just weird lean startup guessing stuff, which was meant for startups in 2011. We're not a startup. It's not 2011. So typically I try to explain to employers that quality is important. And usually I'll say to employers, look, you all have disaster projects that you don't want to talk about. You have disaster projects that somebody swept under the rug where we really got it wrong. We didn't give the right thing to customers. Customer support had to deal with all of this, angry tweets, bad ratings, and we had to rush out some sort of fix, or we had to undo it. That's what good UX aims to make sure never happens again. What did we put in place to make sure that doesn't happen? That's our risk mitigation. So good UX, sure, we want to work efficiently, but do we want to work so fast that we sacrifice quality and the outcomes that we want? It's not worth it. And if the interviewer says, well, we're really fast here, you just have to go really fast and give it to engineering and let them ship it and we'll find out later, you say, then perhaps this isn't a fit for me because that sounds very high risk. It sounds like this company guesses and takes risks at the customer's expense. I've started turning down jobs in the middle of interviews. That's me. That might not be you. You are welcome to play that differently. You are welcome to say, tell me more. And decide later. But remember, it's good to hear these things in interviews now because do you want to work there? Do you want to work there if UX is just, hey, give UX a few hours, make some screens, get it to engineering so that we can see if people like it in a month or two when marketing runs a survey? Do you want to work there? Don't assume that you're going to change them. I know lots of you who have UX and CX in your hearts. You tell me, but I'm going to go into that company and I'm going to change that company. And I say, then you make sure during your interview that you have the authority to make change. Make sure that the company wants to change. Many of these companies think they are freaking awesome and just fine, thank you. And they don't want you to change them. So let's make sure before you sail into a company and think that you're going to improve their processes or change them or make them better or especially improve their ethics, that they want that from you, because most of them don't. So I've had a lot of people say to me, I'm going to go work at Facebook. And I'll say, oh my God, that's the least ethical company on the planet. Why would you work there other than because you want money and you don't mind ethics? Oh, well, I'm going to try to change them. Facebook is doing the wrong things and I'm going to go in there. And I go, they don't want to change. Have you not been paying attention for the last 10 plus years? Facebook doesn't want to change. These are their ethics. And you joining the company is only going to make you depressed. Depressed at what they're doing and depressed that you couldn't change them. Double depressed. Don't do it. Ahmad said, I recently learned this lesson. Thank you. Yup. We do have episode 129 in the live stream podcasts playlist where the fabulous Julia Dabari, always wonderful, talks about questions you can ask during interviews to see if you are jumping straight into hell. So I suggest that we have these conversations and we say these things because remember, if one person shows up to a UX interview and says, I believe in quality over speed, but the rest of the UX people go, yeah, I'm happy to go fast and get you some screens and whatever. One person looks like the weirdo. But if all of us start showing up to UX interviews and say, I'm sorry, but that sound, I'm not sure I'm a fit for this job because it sounds like this company is pursuing speed over quality. And of course, if we want to be customer centric and we care about the customer's outcomes and the money we can make and the risk we can mitigate, then we have to put quality before speed, even if it means it's taking us a little bit longer to get it right. I think it would be great if something like that happened. And something like that happened to me early this year. A company asked my agency to put in a proposal on an information architecture project. And we put in a proposal, and the proposal was research, then information architecture. Imagine that. And the company invited us to a phone call to discuss the proposal. And basically, I had 3 people on the call plus me. And the people basically said, we don't want all this research. Just give us the information architecture. And I said, that's not how it works. If you just want information architecture without research first, then I'm guessing. And so far, 100% of my clients have been resentful at me for guessing, because guessing is pretty much always proven at least somewhat wrong later. I'm going to run a usability test or a tree test or something that says that my initial guess wasn't right. And I find that people are then resentful. And of course, all of that could be mitigated with better research and an understanding that we want to find flaws during the testing and other research. And they said, no, we don't want the research. Just do the information architecture. And I said, I'm sorry, I won't accept this project if you're not going to let me do research and inform my work with research and data. I would refuse to do this job. As much as I would like the money and as much as I would like to work with you, I will refuse to do this job. And they said, well, do you think we have the right approach? And I said, absolutely not. No matter who you hire, I believe this is the wrong approach. Let's say you were never going to hire me under any circumstances at any price. I would still tell you this is the wrong approach. You should be allowing someone to research first and then do the information architecture and then test it and iterate. So no, you have the wrong approach. And they were like, okay, thank you for your time. And we ended the call. And I found out later from the person who had recommended me to this company to put in the proposal, this person came back to me and said, everyone turned them down. And she said, they came back to me and said, can you find some more companies who do information architecture? Everybody turned us down. Oh, well, imagine that. What do you know? So I think if, did they wake up and did they change their minds? And did they allow some company to do research first? I don't know. But I always hope that if interviewers meet enough people that say similar things, that they go, who's the weirdo here? Are the people who want to work really fast and tap dance and just make us happy the weirdo? Or are the people who want to spend a little bit more time to do the work well the weirdo? And I'm hoping that as more of us talk about quality, we won't look like the weirdos. So there's that. But, that's a personality thing. Not everybody is comfortable saying that. All right, we've got a question from Lapchung. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that. Please tell me how to say that. And it says, let's post it up here. Hey, Debbie, thanks again for these office hours. You're welcome. Do you recommend changing jobs more often earlier in one's career to grow and get more exposure to practices and processes? Not necessarily. I recommend changing jobs when you are unhappy at a job and you know it can't be fixed, saved, or improved. If you are happy at a job, if you are doing good work, if you're doing some work that could possibly go in your portfolio with details or as a general story, if you have a good manager who supports you, these are reasons to stay. Jumping around isn't all it's cracked up to be. I jumped around a lot because I'm usually a contractor. So usually I was only brought in for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, whatever it was. And I still have to, after my long career, I still have to sometimes explain to people why I've jumped around so much. I get those questions in interviews. Hey, why were you only here 8 months? Hey, why was this job so short? Hey, why does it look like you don't stay at jobs very long? So remember, you don't want to jump around just to jump around. You don't want to just jump around to the next high-paying thing. Oh, this company's going to offer me a little bit more money. I'll go over there. Don't leave a good thing. If you have a pretty good job, you're in an amazing situation. So many UX jobs are crappy. If you have a crappy job, you might need to jump. And I support you. I support you even if you haven't been there very long. I support you giving it a chance and leaving if it's not right for you. I recently left a contract job 2 weeks in because the project was much messier than they had sold it to me as. And the culture there was quite negative and not worth it. And not something I was going to be able to fix or improve. So I would say do not jump around just to jump around. Make sure if you're jumping around, you have a really good reason to, because if you have a good job where you are mostly or wholly supported and they're interested in doing good UX or improving their UX approach, you've got a pretty good job. And don't just jump for the money or I should grow more. If you are not growing in the job you're in, then that's a question of, do I leave this? And why am I not growing? And what kind of environment would I need to have to grow? Make sure you have those answers so that as you're interviewing for the next jobs, you can ask questions that tell you, will I grow in this environment? Now, normally, when people newer to UX are saying they're not growing, they usually mean that they don't have a UX lead or manager who is a UX specialist and can oversee their work and help them and teach them. Typically, they have a boss who is marketing or engineering or product and or a visual designer and can't help them with UX. So they feel alone and they feel like they're guessing at stuff and they feel like they're not learning. You could have known that when you interviewed. So I'm pointing my finger at you a bit, but you can leave that environment if you want, but make sure when you interview for the next jobs, you're not going right back into that environment. Make sure your UX manager is a UX manager. Find them on LinkedIn. Look for years of specialized UX working experience, at least 5 years. I don't think someone is ready to be a UX manager until 5 years, maybe 7 or more. I think when we ran the survey when I was writing my book and I asked how many years of UX experience should a UX manager have, I think the survey came back, it's in my book, I think the survey came back as at least 7 or 8, though some people preferred 10. I think that's what it was. So you're not looking for someone who graduated a boot camp 3 years ago and is now somehow a manager or a director of UX. So if you are going to jump because this isn't the right place for you to work, make sure you know why and what's going wrong, and think about the questions you can ask the new workplace where they're likely to tell you the truth, so you can know you're going into a better situation. Now, you can't say, how's your culture here? Everyone's going to tell you the culture is great. Oh, it's so supportive. Oh, it's so fun. People are so nice. They will tell you that right up until the day they pack up their desk and leave. So, you have to make sure you're asking questions where we're likely to get an honest answer. And in many cases, that's just going to be about processes, collaboration, and relationships. How do we do UX here? How much time is research given? Do designers and developers wait for research results and insights to design or build? And if you hear, no, we're really fast, we're really agile, we're really lean, we've got to just get building, and you're a researcher, that sounds like they're not really going to appreciate you. You're going to wonder, what am I doing here? These people are already designing and building, and I'm still researching to learn what they should be designing and building. So make sure you're asking the right questions before you end up in the frying pan. Sorry, just getting a message that my Amazon packages are on the way. I sure hope so. I'm very excited about one of them. Any other questions? We've got just a few more minutes. I think I can take one more question. So let me know. I think we have time for one. If not, we can wrap up the show for today. The show is taking a break for a few days because I have a night course that I'm taking, but I will be back on Friday for an early reaction stream, I think 4:30 p.m. Italy time, so that I'm done with it by my night course. Thank you to the difficult to pronounce Lapchurng. I'm sorry I can't pronounce that. Maybe you can give me a clue. Or is it like Lapchenergy? No, I made that up. I don't know. It's not energy. Not at all. I'll put it up on the screen. Someone tell me how to pronounce this. Lapchurng? Lapchernibog, for those of you fans of Fantasia. Lapchurng. I don't know. Let's turn it into something. Lapi Che Reader. All right. So maybe we'll wrap up a couple of minutes early for today. I've got to run out and run some errands anyway. Good morning. It's coming up on 11 a.m. here in Italy, and I'm still waking up. I hope everybody is awake and having a good day or evening. If you're out east of me, hello, friends in India and Australia and Asia. And Ahmad says, quick question, and then we'll wrap up. What to say to the potential employer if someone job hopped to find a better cultural fit? Have a great day, Glenn. The way that I normally say that, Ahmad, is something like, when I started this job at this other company, I was so excited about it. It seemed like they had a really good culture, and it seemed like the job was going to be a really good match to what I did. But once I was there for some weeks, it was clear that it really wasn't the right match for me. And again, you don't want to say anything too negative because everyone knows who this company is. They can see it on your resume or CV or LinkedIn. So you don't want to super poop on them and go, wow, their culture is a dumpster fire. So you have to find these kind of sneaky, neutral ways that hint at this wasn't a great place to work, but I'm not going to say that out loud. So typically I say it as, I was very excited about this job and so looking forward to working at this company, and I believed in what they were doing. But unfortunately, once I was there some weeks or some months, it became clear that it really wasn't a good match to me and the type of work I would like to be doing or the type of environment I would like to be in. And then that's a good time for you to ask a follow-up question. So shift their attention from your crappy story to a question they now need to answer. So, thinking about that, I'm really wondering about your processes here. So, shift to a question you want to ask, thinking of that, well, I want to know more about your processes here. Where does UX fit into things? Whatever you're going to ask. Yasir says, seems like you're in my brain and solving all those questions I'm not able to ask. Well, I hope that's a good thing. I hope to be in people's brains in a positive way. Ahmad says, awesome. Thank you for this. Thank you, Ahmad. Everyone had really great questions today. Thanks to everybody for asking. I will play us out of here. And as always, these are archived on YouTube. So please subscribe on YouTube, ring the bell, give it a like, leave a comment after the stream is done. That helps it in the algorithm. And anything you might want to know about the stream, it's in deltacx.com/links. So how do you ask questions? How do you join my UXer courses that are coming up? What else did I put on that page? How do you join our giveaway? I'm doing another giveaway this quarter. Everything is there. deltacx.com/links. Go there. Find all the links. How do you get coaching? It's all there. So thanks to everybody. Hope to see you again soon. Sorry that the show is taking off most of this week and actually a little bit of the next 2 weeks because I'm going on vacation next week. But there will be shows here and there as I can, maybe some surprise streams from vacation just to say hi to everybody. Be well, work happily and safely, and I will catch you all soon. Thanks. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are